In our last topic on supply and demand, we're reviewing government interference in the market. And sometimes equilibrium price, it's felt, may result in social injustice, either too low a price or too high a price compared to equilibrium, is too high or too low a price compared to equilibrium. And so the government will interfere to benefit the consumer or the producer. So for example, we'll do a price ceiling first. So you freehand the supply and demand graph. It's quantity, price. The market would set the price at price equilibrium and quantity equilibrium. But if you feel that consumers, this isn't just for consumers, then the government will set a price below, and that is considered a price ceiling. Now the mistake you may make is that you will try to put the ceiling above the equilibrium, but that is not correct. The ceiling is a maximum price that businesses can charge. So the price cannot go to equilibrium because there's a ceiling in the way. It's the reverse of what you might think. Now, at this price ceiling, you go over until you hit both lines. You hit the supply line, go over until you hit the demand line. Do not continue the line out here. Stop at the last line you hit. Where the price ceiling line hits the quantity supplied, with the supply curve, you go down, and that will be the quantity supplied. If you continue at that price along to the demand curve and go down, that will be the quantity demanded. In this example, if this is 100, and this is 75, and this is 60, then this resulting amount that is not equilibrium is quantity demanded of 100 minus quantity supplied of 60 results in a shortage of 40. Alright, so if you're one of the ones that get it at a lower price, that's congratulations. But the lower price has discouraged businesses from producing from 75 down to 60. But it has encouraged consumers to increase the quantity demanded from 75 to 100, resulting in a shortage. A ceiling is when the government is trying to assist a businessman, and they're going to result in a higher price than equilibrium. So if the equilibrium price were originally here, price equilibrium, quantity sub E for equilibrium. Now, to help a businessman, they're going to charge price floor. And it's a minimum price that can be charged. You can't go below the floor, and it's the opposite of what you intuitively expect. The floor is above the equilibrium price. At this floor price, go over until you hit the demand line, and that will become the quantity demanded. Go over it again until you hit the supply line. Do not continue the lines out here. Stop at the last one, and this will be quantity supplied. So this has increased the production, but decreased the quantity demanded. So again, at quantity supply is 100, because it's increased from the equilibrium of 75. Now the quantity demanded has fallen to 60. Now there is a surplus. There's too much being produced. So the quantity supplied of 100 minus the quantity demanded of 60 will result in a surplus of 40. So we'll do a worksheet on this topic, and it's posted, and hopefully you've printed it. And apartments for rent, but how many at what price? So our town is a Midwestern city with 2 million residents. It grew rapidly. This caused rents on apartments to rise rapidly. And new government was elected, and they are promising rent controls to help low-income families afford and homeless people buy apartments. The rent on an apartment with a kitchen, living area, dining rooms, bedrooms, 1,000 square feet was $500 a month. They've set the price below equilibrium. Okay, and here's the presentation an economist provided. Alright, so at equilibrium price of 600, the equilibrium quantity demanded, equilibrium quantity supplied is 50, but the lower price, meant to help consumers, has caused the number of apartments available for rent to fall to only 40. But it has increased the number of apartments that people would like to rent to 70. So this difference here is a shortage, because the quantity demanded is exceeding the quantity supplied. So 70 quantity demanded minus quantity supplied of 40 would result in a shortage of 30. What's the equilibrium price? 50. where the quantity supplied is equal to quantity demanded, 500. The equilibrium quantity, go down from that intersection, and that gives you 50 units. We'll come back to that. What is the market clearing price? What is the rent control price? 600. What is the number of apartments landlords are willing and able to rent at the rent control price? Well, the landlords are only, you take that from the quantity, the supply line, and the quantity supplied would be 40. How many apartments do people want to rent at the rent control price? You take that from the demand line, and that would be 70. There is a shortage because the price is below equilibrium, and the quantity demanded is exceeding the quantity supplied. Okay. It's possible to get a shortage because some of the rental apartments could be converted into condominiums. All right. So now let's look at a situation where the government wants to help the producers. So in this example, rent control is the market for milk. Throughout the 90s, using a system of geographic marketing orders, quotas, and price controls, the federal government established a minimum price for dairy farmers for milk. In 1992, the effect of the system was to set the price at about $1.40. Notice that is not equilibrium. The equilibrium price would have been $1. All right, so let's look and see what's happened here. At $1, halfway between 15.8 and 17.2, okay, that is 1.4. That is 16.5. So at $1, the equilibrium quantity exchanged in the market would have been 16.5. Quantity supplied would have equaled quantity demanded. But to help the dairy farmers out, the government set a minimum price of $1.40. This caused the quantity demand to fall to 15.8, but it encouraged production by the dairy farmers to 17.2. This difference of 1.4 is a surplus. There is too much milk being made, and the government will buy that surplus. So originally 16.5 was exchanged, quantity supplied and quantity demanded. But now the quantity demanded has fallen only to 15.8, yet production has risen to 17.2. So what happens to that 1.4? The government buys it. And where does the government get the money to buy that? From taxpayers. Okay, is there a surplus or a shortage? There is a surplus because the quantity supplied minus the quantity demanded is positive. It exceeds it. If there is no government price in the market, the graph suggests the milk will have a clearing price of $1. Who would benefit and who would be hurt if the rent controls are eliminated? Well, consumers would be benefited. They'd end up buying more milk at a lower price, and dairy farmers would be hurt because they would be producing less milk and selling at a lower price. What's the equilibrium quantity? At $1, the equilibrium quantity was 16.5. What's the subsidy price? The subsidy price was $1.40. What quantity demanded at the subsidy price? 15.8. What is the quantity supplied at the subsidy price? Subsidy price, quantity demanded, 17.2. What is the quantity in billions of the surplus or shortage? 17.2 minus 15.8 is a surplus of 1.4.